Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I would get busy on starting to lay out the interior of the carrier, and one other complication I was thinking about overnight. I'll talk about that in a second here, but I wanted to explain why I released this ship without any of the weapons. There's different recommendations on different loadouts and things like that. Primarily speaking, I wanted these two laser guns over here to be responsible for taking down the shield, and what I wanted for turrets on here is within CPU range the hardest hitting turrets I could put on the ship, or the best hull damage type of turrets. The problem is looking at the turret selections. You have a minigun, there's flak, there is cannon, there is positron, and but none of those really fit the bill for being good hull damage turrets. The positron I kind of like, but they're kind of like focused around doing both shield and hull damage, and not really one or the other specifically. Since I already had these two mounted laser cannons, I felt that any turrets I put here should really be focused pretty much entirely on doing hull damage, and that's the way the whole thing was supposed to work. Um, Problem is after I couldn't use those light missile turrets that I wanted to, those colonist ones. I looked at other turrets that I could put on here. So rocket turrets are probably my primary one I was looking at, that, or potentially plasma, which are more expensive yet, and they also kind of deal with shield too. But rocket turrets, I could only get three of them on. If you take a look at the CPU with three rocket turrets, I'm at 389. If I try to put a fourth one in, I exceed the CPU by a good 20,000. So that doesn't work, and I don't have a center turret position anywhere on the ship because it doesn't actually have a center. So, excuse me, I could only put three on it. And I didn't like that, and it's out of uniform and everything else. So then I was thinking, well, maybe, although this I don't think would be as effective, is putting on a couple positrons and have two rockets, two positrons. And then I exceed the CPU again. Not by a huge amount, but I didn't like this loadout either. It's kind of like counterproductive for what I wanted. As in cannon turrets, I was very unimpressed with cannon turrets hull damage in the past, so I'm not looking at those as a very viable turret for this situation either. So really, I couldn't find any solution, anything that worked right at all. In fact, if I had this ship myself, I think what I would do is add in two improved cores and then put on the turrets I actually want on the ship, and call it a day. So that's kind of why I released it with no weapons at all. I didn't like any of the weapon loadout combinations that I could possibly put on here with the available CPU. So I appreciate all the comments and suggestions and everything like that about it. There were some comments and suggestions saying leave everything off as well. And ultimately, I tried some of those. I really did. I spent like an hour and a half just messing around with turrets and realizing that literally there's no turret like the colonist turret. Can't use the colonist turrets, so there just wasn't anything in the game that really fits the bill for what I wanted. Something that can not deal with the shield and just hit the hull as hard as possible, to make it effective for the design of the ship. And the only thing that could really do that and what it was built for were those colonist light turrets. And I kind of got in a huge disarray learning that, well, that requires in-game parts, and it would be really hard to spawn this in and be able to do that. So I stripped everything, all the weapons off the ship, and just let you figure it out yourself. Again, I didn't want to just throw on some willy-nilly turrets that were going to be ineffective and not do what it was meant to do in the first place. So I just wanted to explain that. So anyway, with that being said, don't be mad at me. I really, really, really try to make something work, but literally, there's just not a solution that was going to make me happy at all. Just far from it. And I had to do what I had to do. It was either that or scrap the whole design. I had a comment in there that just said, yeah, it's a dumb ship, and just scuttle it. I was half thinking that myself, but there's other people that like it. I kind of, I think it looks all right. I like the alternative texture color scheme on it, and stuff like that. So it wasn't all wasted. I probably will utilize that method of texturing on some future creation at some point. So it was a learning process. So now in the carrier here, got a lot of interior space and some pathing and layout stuff to figure out. And I've been thinking about a couple things. Now, one thing that's going to be really, really nightmarishly challenging to do is if I decide to use 640K storage on here, and then I want to put out a vanilla version, I kind of want to pre-plan that out so it's not a nightmare trying to remove all the extra storage for vanilla, because I wouldn't want a vanilla version to have like 640 bays when it can only utilize 320 bays. The flip side to that is maybe I should only use 320 bays so then I wouldn't have the problem. But I like the 640 bays. I do. I prefer them over the 320s if you got a big enough ship for it and all that kind of fun stuff. So I'm trying to think of a way to accommodate both things. But I'll get to that in a minute. To start with, originally a little bit of pre-planning is this whole bridge area here. I wanted to have a direct line of sight, basically straight down to the hangar floor, so I could put in a single elevator to get you to every level here. Now, it'll have more than just this elevator, but this is a primary one, I guess you could say. So what I'm looking at doing is potentially, here, let me get the light on. So the hangar floor is here, and say this is a pathway, like you're playing like Roller Coaster Tycoon or something. That's a fun game. Just reminds me, I haven't played that in probably 10 years. I love that game. Well, anyway, let's say, so we got one block away from this big hot thruster here, which would be safe. And this would have to be a solid wall here. Can't even be a half block. It has to be a solid wall or you get fried by that thruster. And then we're going to go from here. Let me get some elevator blocks here. And we will go straight up and see how this works out. Right to the bridge. Yeah. And that is one thing I'm thankful I thought about when designing this in the first place. Is I did not want you to go up like one elevator and then have to shift over to a different elevator to go up the rest of the way. I kind of wanted like one elevator to get you to everything. I think it'll be faster navigating the ship. So in this area here, this is where I kind of want production to be. It's right at the bottom of the elevator. It's close to the bridge. It'll be close to the farm, which will be coming off the elevator from other floors. In fact, let's get some other floor blocks in here. So this is flight deck floor over here, and there's more of those. So I'm gonna just extend this straight down the ship here up to its very first door. So all of these go to the flight deck. All right, and then we've got a floor right below here. This is going to be the giant floor that's got a huge amount of space on it, and farming. Farming is going to be in the local area. So this is where the floor would have to be on this level. And all these blocks I'm placing right now are just temporary blocks, so I kind of know what's going on, and I'll start forming rooms from these floors here at some point. But right now I just wanted to get it kind of measured out. So that floor, if I keep it straight, will go right there. Now that's leaving an extra block gap here, which is kind of cool in this case. This is something else I was thinking about when I was just kind of looked at it a little bit before the video. Is I was intending on putting a second barrage of solar panels over on this side, because I have 12 over there above the module bays. And then I was going to put another 12 on this side, kind of having all this big waste area of room, trying to conceal all these solar panels. But I think I got a better idea now. Let me get rid of these. And because this floor sits up an extra block row above where these other solar panels are, why don't I just match those solar panels and put in another set of 12 directly above them? And this way I don't have to have like separate room areas and all the block work needed to conceal those or whatever, or walls or whatnot. I can share all the same area, and then I can get all 24 solar panels in here. Now, if you're a person that looks at reality and says, well, these solar panels aren't going to work because they're not getting any sunlight, you're correct. But the game doesn't work that way, okay? So on CVs, it doesn't matter where these solar panels are. They don't have to have any sunlight whatsoever. They just produce power because they're on the creation. So that is kind of the angle I'm coming or looking at with this. So I know. You know, you look at this and you think, well, you're completely out of your mind. Burying solar panels like that, that's worthless. But yeah, you got to understand this game. A lot of these things, I don't know. Essentially, solar panels were never meant for CVs. A big mod pack that has a lot of work put into it and continual development allowed for the fact to use a solar panel part on CVs. However, they work differently than they would on a base. So they don't need direct they don't need direct sunlight. They work without a solar capacitor or battery bank, and they just work by placing them just like I did. So that's why. And in fact, I don't really want solar panels very visible on the ship itself either. So kind of putting them in a room like this, I think, is a good idea. Just kind of keep them out of the way. And the way this is set up too, I could probably easily provide some kind of access into this area as well, so you could look at the solar panels kind of mounted in the floor space there, and that'll work out great because now I'm happy I got the 24 solar panels, and it really didn't take up any more space on the ship. So that's one thing. All right, so the next big part here is storage and production. So this is the primary elevator. There'll be another elevator up front and probably a couple more elevators on the other side of the ship as well. So, but let's just start here for now. So this part here, what I want to do is set up like some kind of constructor storage alley thing. Let me get the right blocks out here a minute. Get a container controller. I think that's good. All right. Oh, and constructor. Okay, I have those. All right. So now, where am I gonna? I'll start. I usually do this on most builds by placing the constructors first, and then I usually try to get storage controllers nearby. Usually right next to them if I can. But again, I want to keep all this within a specific area. Now, the extra challenging thing is what I set up. If I use 640K storage, I got to make sure that I can remove 320K of it easily for a vanilla version of the ship. And that is something I want to kind of pre-plan so I don't get into a nightmare scenario when I try to put out a vanilla version of the ship. And I also kind of wanted to use 640K storage. It's unfortunate that vanilla doesn't handle that. And that's kind of why I'm going to have to do some pre-planning here. So to start with, this window right here is really in a bad spot on where I'm going to put constructors because I wouldn't want to block the window off. It does have one on the other side right there too. That part was actually symmetrically done, but on the window on this side, I'm gonna remove it. Put in a couple steel blocks there, and then I can use that wall space for constructors instead on this side. And it doesn't matter. I mean, it's asymmetrically done anyway, so I'm not really so worried about that. So let's say we put a constructor here, and I'll rotate another one like that, and then we'll hypothetically we'll say this is a storage controller and that is a storage controller, so we can lay these out right next to the constructors. I usually like to do this. It just seems kind of neat organized doing it like this. It's kind of a pain in the butt sometimes placing the cargo extensions, but also sort of works out too. So what I want to do is I want to make each one of these 320K, and then on the top side I want to have like a junction block and then another 320K that they would link with, so I could easily remove those later. That's the goal. I'm not sure if it's going to work out exactly as I am thinking, but we'll see how it works out. Anyway, so each one of these has to first hit 320K. And they're both uniform. They're both the same. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? What block's below here? Oh, that is outside. Yeah, okay. The other side's not. All right, never mind on that. Yeah, I'm trying not to put any cargo extensions to the outer hull. That's kind of a general thing. But how am I going to link? How am I going to link? After these were 320, how am I going to link another group of storage to it? Good question. Well, here, let's do one at a time. We got this dead space over here next to a thruster. Pretty much unusable room for anything ship related. So let's use this space to pop in a bunch of these guys to start with, and try to keep it as even as possible. So what are we at? We're at 208 right now. I should go up one more block row on this, so because I'm going to need to on that one anyway. So let's go up to here and put that in. Let's see where we're at. 288 and 4 is at 312, 320. Okay. That actually kind of came out pretty squarish. I like that. All right, so same deal with the other side. This has to hit 320K for now. Let's utilize the space under here too. So you're at 200. I got, there's more dead space below here too, so probably ought to try to utilize some of that. $256. $272. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 more. 320. Okay, I can move these around a little bit. Kind of want to actually here, because you can't texture these, or they have very limited textures on these. I don't want to use too many of them on the floor. I might be able to hide that one, but not too many more than that. 304, 312, 320. Okay, so now they're kind of below the floor as well. So 2 320s. Okay, so now these we'll just call this extension storage. And what I want to do is have a single link block that would connect this storage to basically another 320. And I want to figure out how to do that in a nice way, at least. What are these blocks? Something that doesn't need to be there for any reason. Okay. There's quite a few blocks in the ship like that. In fact, the size class has been dropping a little bit because I've been getting rid of a lot of blocks that I had. Just kind of build blocks and things that don't need to be there anymore. Okay, so to keep this uniform, let's say we have a link block here and a link block here. And then I don't want anything else to attach to those blocks except for that one block. So let's expand this out now until we hit 640K. I would really like to fill in all these weird areas of the ship around these thrusters and things with these storage controllers, because again, you really can't do anything else with that area. It's too hot. So what are we at now on this one? 520K. You know what? Maybe I shouldn't have the link block right there. Let's put the link block. Okay, so this is separated. This is separated. So that means one block in here would connect anything that's over there. So if that's all true, this should be 320. It is. Okay. And let's connect it. And then we should be 520. Okay. Let's take this out to 640. What's that block? Okay, that's that one's needed. 584. Should be a couple more at least, I think. 632, one more. How about right there? Okay, so we have 632. I'm sorry, 640. And then if this block gets removed, we are at 320. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, so what I'm going to do for future reference, because I know how confusing it will be after the whole interior space gets built up and everything like that, is I'm going to do a little something here so I know that this is a junction block, and this is just for my internal purposes and won't be part of the creation. And we're going to say that all these guys over here that are connected to this one are blue. So this is blue storage extension. Oh, not that one. Let's get rid of that last piece there. And then this way I know what's going on, and it's going to be very useful later on when you got to remove all these up there. It'll be a lot easier to work with, I think, than trying to do it in other ways. At least this is the best way I can come up with right now. I'm thinking of how I'm going to pull this off for an easier translation. Okay, so now we got to do the same thing over here with this one. We are currently at 1 over because that block's in place. So let's take this up to 640K. I don't want those to touch the block below it. So let's wrap it around like that. Fill up all this dead space here. Maybe I don't want. Oh wait, oh, those are thrusters. Yeah, this whole area is unusable. That's heat wave there. Maybe I should just fill this in. Where are we at? Where'd it go? There it is. Okay, it's 584. So that looks like some more unused blocks there. Let's see if we can fit everything else in this area. So that added another 8. 640. Let's get rid of one. See if we're still at 640. Still at 640. Let's get rid of another one. Added too many. 632. Okay. So we'll put one back. All right. So now the junction block here. This is junction block. I hate doing this, so this is like wasting all this room down in there. Yeah. No, I'm okay with it for now. Some of the stuff could get sorted out again. Okay, so I'm going to even color these differently. These are the red blocks, the red storage extension. So that'll be for this other one. So then I'll know that these guys are part of the other storage controller. And, oh, not these, oh, those lacerated down there, it shouldn't be, okay. So red expansion storage, we'll call it. And let's just put caution. So you should be the control block to divide that up. So we are at 640, move this, we are at 320. Okay, good. That should, oh. That back. All right. Well, both of those kind of work, and that is kind of the method I'm going to try to do with the storage. So again, later on I can replace like all of this stuff easier than trying to like dig through the ship, which is really hard to do after the fact, after your interior is all done and the ship is filled in. It's very challenging to, at that point in time, to try to manipulate or remove storage or whatever else. It's can be kind of a nightmare scenario. All right, so that's 2 constructors. Definitely want more. Now, I might not come with all these. Some of these constructors very well could be placeholders depending on CPU. Here's the thing. I kind of wanted to duplicate the same pattern right next to it, but I can't have two controllers next to each other because they'll link up. So, yeah. So let's leave a space there and put this other grouping here. And then we can have, let's say, a storage controller there and there. Kind of keep everything kind of nice and organized, hopefully. And then we got to make each one of these equal 320. And then set up an extended controller area like the other sides were done. And we'll start there. Now I have all this floor space. This is going to be floor here too. See right here though, and those are this. This should be steel. If I follow in the code of the whole ship of steel outer hull, those are flimsy, and that should be sealed. The steel blocks there. Okay. Now let's try to take which one's going to be easier to deal with. Probably this one here because you got the sidewall there. So I'm gonna get this one out to 320 first. And we're gonna utilize a lot of the floor space in here to do that. $216, but I did want to raise it up one more. Oops, not there. Right up on the top. Let's just keep that going to 240. Probably added too many now. Probably. Let's get rid of a couple. 3 or 4. Okay, I guess it was exactly right, actually. Lucky. All right, so 320 there. Now let's make this one 320. Let's fill up down under and behind as much as we can. Okay, so that doesn't link to that, so that's legit. $288. That should be 320. Okay, baseline is in place. Now, link one, and then it has to go to the other storage extension, I guess you could say, or extender storage. I don't even know what to call it. I probably should start with this one. So this one obviously can't touch that back row. So let's say we have a link block here. Let's paint you up as being the link block. Let's say this one's green. Caution. Oops. Okay. Your green storage. Wow, that's bright. Very noticeable green storage. All right. Now I need to expand this out without touching the other controller. Ooh, I'm getting up into the top surface area here. So let's take these and run them this way as far as I can. What does that do for you? 472. I just hate all the waste you get from these controllers because you can't like put one next to the other. But that's how they work. I don't mind it. I think, I mean, it's mostly rather fun placing these, but it is potentially wasteful in space too. So yeah, literally, well, I can get some here. What you at now? 520. And this is, you know, this is still floor space, so it is technically usable area here. How about we pack in a little bit more here? Oh, and we can do these two as well, just not that one. Okay, a couple more there. 586 or 568, I meant. Yeah, I got this other window over here too, which is strange. That might have to be removed too. We'll see. Oops. 600. I think it needs one more. Yeah. Okay. Now, if this block were okay, so let's confirm 640. 3. Oh no, it's still linked. Damn it. That's why I had those blocks out of there. That's what I didn't want to happen. That's why I did not put these blocks in and wasted the room. Okay. So let's get it back up to 640, 624, and 2. 640, remove link block. Darn it, still linked. Ah, that one. Maybe that one. Okay, so now you're okay, so now you're cool. Now you're cool. So let's put in link block again. Okay, you're in link block. Let's just let you know. Link block. Let's get you up to 640 again. 640. Okay, remove 1. Make sure you're 632. 632, good. And final test, we're back to 640. Remove link block. We are at 320. Okay, good. Let me just paint up this so I know what's up with these. Oops, just painted over the link block. Oh, that. Wait, that's a link block. Let me get that labeled. If I don't do this, I will forget by the time, you know, I go to after I get the interior done and try to convert this to vanilla. I will forget how this worked, almost guaranteed. So yeah, that's why. Oh, damn it. That's why I am going through all this extra work now. I think it will be very beneficial later. A little bit of extra time now will save a lot of time later, I think, because there's nothing more frustrating than having a problem with a complex storage system after a project's complete and the whole interior is in place and you can't see where the controllers are, what links up, or when you're flying through the blocks. That's a kind of a nightmarish scenario I am trying very hard to avoid, basically. And all of you are part of green storage. That's probably good enough. I'll before I put the interior in, I'll paint up any more that I have to here. All right, so there's only one left of these things to do, and this one hopefully it goes all right. So we're going to say the link blocks here. It can't be in any of those positions. So it's going to have to be here. And then let's utilize some of this kind of dead space over here. And we'll build a bit of a wall out of these guys over here, which you're going to need anyway. I suppose we can go up to there. We can actually fill that in across. And what does that put you at? 528. put in another part of a wall here. -76. 608. What about 4 or 5 more or something like that? Okay, that is the connection block there. Link block. Okay, what if we had those? 640 even. Let's get rid of 1. Make sure we stay there. I always do this, even though I'm pretty sure it's just going to drop down to 632. I just do it to double check. So I just kind of call it quality control. So I don't make an error. Double check everything. Okay, now we're back at 640. Okay, let me this block here should be the link block. Let's pick a different color. What you're going to be orange. Link block, remove, and uh-oh, didn't work. Didn't work. Wrong block. Put that back. It's this one, isn't it? 6. Okay, 320, and I put this back in place, and it should go to 640. Yes. Okay, that is the link block. And I can't think of any other way right off the top of my head, unless I had perfectly formed like areas to put all these extensions in, predefined space to do this. But I'm gonna be. I know I'm gonna be very happy that I did this later on, although it's taking a longer amount of time now to do it. But I think it's gonna really make it so much easier when I go to make a vanilla version. I have to strip away all this extra storage here. All right, so we've got 4 640s. Yeah, I know. Again, doesn't seem like a lot was done, but man, you know, every one of these builds, though, before I really get involved in the interior and try to make things look pretty and things like that, it requires a lot of this kind of thing. Depending on the size of the creation, how much is going on, could take longer or less time, but it does take a lot of this. Now, this is only half. This is only half of what I'm planning on putting in here, though, for production. In fact, let me. I don't know if I won't necessarily lay out more boring storage controllers here, but I did want to try to lay out how I want this to work out in the construction alley area, and then I got to figure out. I might have to move some of these around too. But how should this be done? So we're coming off from the elevator here. Obviously, I want to keep this a straight path going straight out to the hangar area, and then I'm kind of planning on a path that goes through here in the construction area or constructor area. And oh god, it would be nice to have these things laid out, but it would seem awfully cramped if I only had a 1 block row through here. 2 could work, but 3 could be better, maybe, because then you could put something if you wanted to in the center as well, which could work out nicely. So let's say I had a constructor here, and some of these might be deconstructors too. They're just going to be general spots for constructors or deconstructors. I just typically use these, and I like with these new Reforged Eden models, I like to put them right next to each other like that if I can, because it kind of fits, and you can walk up in here, and it just keeps everything kind of clean, and definitely like that. Okay, so now on this, here's a curveball though. I got to set up new controller storage areas here. So for instance, one there, and this isn't going to work yet because I've got one of these utilizing that. Let's figure out which one, because I got to remove that and add it somewhere else at least. So is that you? Is that you? No. Is that you? That's you. Okay, so you need another block of storage somewhere. How about here? Okay, that works. And now I can put a controller here. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I did this wrong. Okay, so these should go out further, and I got to do the same thing here. So let's get rid of that one and put in one, say, back over here. And we'll put, how about not back there? How about here? We'll put in a constructor there. And then here. Okay, so I think I don't mind this. The only thing I can think of right now that's a little off-putting is I don't have a hallway on this side going back out to the hangar or anywhere. So it's kind of it's a dead end, just going into this section. Normally, I don't like to have dead ends. It's something to do with pathing and level design, especially say you're making a deathmatch map for some game or something like that. Dead ends are usually a no-no, unless it's maybe a single room that it goes to or something. But if you have like a big hallway and it just doesn't go anywhere, that's bad pathing, essentially. Unless it was designed, it was like a course that you take one way through something. But like if you want that connectivity, in this case I'm blocking that over here because there's going to be no way to get a hallway out the way this is fit. But at the same time, I don't really think it needs it. Not in this case. It's one of those rare cases that I don't really see the benefit of having a hallway necessarily out that way because you're not too far from a way out here. Yeah, I'll run with it for now. If I don't like it, if it bugs me enough, I'll fix it later, I guess. Well, that'll be challenging. Well, let's see what shakes. Okay, so let's make. Well, actually, I said I wasn't going to plot out another set of controllers right now. You kind of know the same thing. I'm going to try to do the same thing. I'm going to try to keep all 8 of these 640s and have their labeled connector blocks / thing so I can transfer it to vanilla easier later on. I'm not going to say it's going to be super easy yet. Hopefully I won't have to use a lot of these for walls and textured and fancy blocks and stuff like that. But yeah, I think this would work out pretty good. And then I can take this whole grouping of like storage and wrap it around these things here one way or another. And then try to set up an extension over that way and just kind of fill up this whole rectangle area here, which will be just your production. Oh, you know what? You know what I'm not thinking about? This is just Constructor Alley. It doesn't have all the other fun stuff that I want close by here too, like armor repair, armor locker, all that kind of fun stuff. I wonder if that could be, I guess, right out over here somewhere. Maybe in front of the thrusters going this way. Yeah, well, these are the complications of layouts and why layouts. I would recommend if you got especially a larger ship. Smaller ships it's not so tricky, or it can be even more tricky, I suppose too. But this is kind of the best way I can think of doing this. To do this kind of thing, and I do this with like every creation. And usually by the time I get this done, then after that I usually start to go with try to set up some more of the main pathing, and then in this case I'll probably like get going with the hangar and then the engineering areas. I want to get those important parts in place first. Everything that's gameplay intensive, gameplay useful, farms, production, all that kind of stuff. And then whatever room I got left, would be trying to figure out what to do with. Usually could if you can think of some other form of function, that's great. If not, some kind of fluff area room. And I'm sure this ship's going to have some, because there's nowhere enough useful things in game to fill this big of a ship with. There just isn't. A lot easier to do with like smaller ships, not wasting space for things. But this has got a lot of room in it, so I will keep on working on this. But I just kind of wanted to go over the storage, and again, obviously trying a different method here, and try to think about the whole vanilla conversion before I get to it, as this will make life, I think, amazingly easier after this is done by doing it this way. I don't particularly like to do it this way. It's a little cluttery. It's a little unorganized looking. But I tell you what, if I filled it all in nicely and then built all the rooms and the walls and got it all done, and then went to go do vanilla, I would be like, everything's going to screw up. I'll spend hours and hours and hours trying to remove storage from the ship legitimately without breaking other things. And it's a nightmare. And this way, I think I can mostly avoid that nightmare later on. So anyway, that's all I've got for today. Sorry I didn't get much done. A lot of these things are kind of slow. I'll finish up this area. Next video I do, I'll try to actually focus in on building up pretty walls and rooms and stuff like that. Hopefully I'll be to that point then. And there's a lot more pathing to figure out here too. I've got weird doors and things all over the place on the ship, like over there and here, and I got this weird area down, where is it again? Like down over here that kind of goes below the ship, and there's a lot of things to integrate in here when I'm going, and it's different on either side too. So I'm not even turning on symmetry when I'm doing this. I may turn on symmetry though when I get into this area here, with engineering on either right or left, maybe, and that's only to fit like potential big shield parts and other like reforging and more specific parts, as in generators and stuff. See, that's another thing too. It's like I'm pretty sure the ship can get by with using a couple of these guys here, but ultimately it'd probably be a better bang for the buck to have a fusion reactor. But that'd be I'd have to translate that. It can't be in the vanilla version. So I'll have to plan it around this or switch it to this when I do. You know what? Never mind. It's not going to have a fusion reactor. Not stock. Either way I look at it, because that's all a huge amount of CPU and expense. It doesn't need it. I'm trying to keep this a Core 9. So certainly not going to do that with a fusion reactor installed. So anyway, y'all have yourself a great day, and I will talk to you later.